Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. I am your humble French tarot reader and deck Goblin Marine, and today I wanted to chat oracle decks. I wanted to share with you some oracle decks I've been loving lately and also share my current potential list of decks that I'm thinking of taking away on a trip I'm about to take in March. So if you guys watched my channel before, you might know I'm more of a tarot girly in the sense that tarot decks are my first true love. That's what I use 90% of the time in my readings. But that being said, I have found over the years that I've developed a true fondness for oracle decks as they truly can expand your practice, your readings. And so every few months, I like to do these kinds of videos, giving a shout out to oracle decks I've been loving. So I'll be sharing with you today some decks I've been loving for divination and fortune telling, for self-care and guidance. And we'll go through some decks I'm thinking of taking away with me to a trip that I'll tell you more about. So as per usual, all the names of the decks are going to be in the description box. You will be able to find where you can buy these. Down there, you'll also find the link to my second channel, The Waves of Your Soul Readings. That's where I actually read the cards for you guys. I post monthly guidance, pick a pile readings, and I use these decks. So if you want to see these decks in real, actual readings, definitely go and subscribe over there as well. It would be a joy to have you. And I think we're gonna get straight in. At the time of me filming, we have just started Mercury retrograde and eclipse season, so I hope everyone is taking good care of themselves. I hope you're all taking some time to rest, relax, maybe relying more heavily on self-care. We really need it in these times. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a virtual hug to anyone who might need it. And we're gonna get started with the decks I've been loving, and then I'll finish the video with decks that I'm thinking of taking on the trip, as I've not said anything on the channel yet. I haven't really said anything to anyone, but as it was kind of touch and go whether I would be able to go or not. But in a couple of weeks I will be flying off to India to go to an Ayurvedic hospital to stay there for a couple of weeks to help hopefully with my chronic pain and chronic illness symptoms. So as I'm gonna be away for a couple of weeks, of course I'm thinking about what decks I want to take with me, so I'll talk to you about that at the end of the video. But first, let's talk about the oracle decks I've been using consistently since the start of the year. The first one I wanted to chat about is l'Oracle de Tulipe. It's a mass market deck, a French mass market deck. It's by Sophie Guérive. Sophie is a comic book artist. So Tulipe is originally a comic book character. There's like a few comic books that represent the characters that are in this deck, mainly this one and these two. So they are main characters of a comic book series. This artist decided to create an oracle deck inspired by the world that they had created and by these characters, and I have been absolutely loving it, you guys. It's delightful. So here is the box. As you can see, we have a little guidebook, and this is where you can tell that the artist originally is a comic book artist, as the way the guidebook is written, you can see it's very inspired by that. So I love that so much. It's really cool. And the beginning of the guidebook is set up like a comic book, but then you have the actual guidance message for each of the card with a little text. So if you guys wanted to use Google Translate or anything like that, it really would not be an issue. You can see the text is quite small, easy to translate. I have been absolutely loving this deck. Here are the backs, by the way, delightful. I have been absolutely adoring this deck in the last couple of months since I've gotten it, because not only is it adorable, obviously, you're gonna see, the art style, it's delightful. It's a little bit childlike, the characters that we find. Tulipe and her friends are really cute, and they all it feels very cohesive, the fact that it's part of the same world. That's the first thing that attracted me to this deck on a superficial level, but actually this deck goes a lot deeper than I expected it to, and I've been finding myself using this consistently to channel messages and to do a little bit of both guidance and prediction. Actually, this one is great for both. I've used it for week ahead readings, I've used it for months ahead readings, I've actually used it, but I've also used it for like guidance, channeling messages from my guides or the universe. I've actually just filmed a reading using this for the Waves of Your Soul readings, where we look at what you need to hear. So if that's out by the time I post this video, I'll make sure to leave it in the cards so you can see this oracle deck being being used, but I've found it very versatile, and that was quite a pleasant surprise for me. So on each of the cards, you can see we have an image and we have a keyword. The keywords are descriptive of what's on the card. So here we have the cloud, here we have the thief, here we have the cave. So in terms of like the setup of the card, you can really read it intuitively because literally the keywords are what's on the card. And so here we have the stone, for example. I love that one. It's so cute. And like I said, the messages in the guidebook are great. They read more like guidance kind of messages, but honestly, I've been using this intuitively and I've been so pleasantly surprised by just how good it reads for me, right? Personally for me. Obviously, take everything I say with a pinch of salt. You might not resonate with this one, but I have really developed a good connection with this, and it's been a really great deck to use intuitively for me, where I don't even need to rely on the guidebook to get quite powerful messages. And I didn't expect this deck to go as deep as it does. In terms of pairings, I was kind of using its own at first, and then someone on Instagram suggested I pair it with the Kawaii Tarot, and that's true. It goes really well with the Kawaii Tarot if you guys have that. It also goes really well with kind of any cute decks that you might have, even with like things like the Cosmic Cycle. It's quite cute. I've also actually paired it with a Tarot de Marseille, and it was quite nice to have this like because the colors are quite primary, and usually Tarot de Marseille have primary colors, so they actually are a good match together. But even on its own, it's great. And look at this, it's saying some shit, you guys. It's like I'm ready to stab someone. So that's the l'Oracle de Tulipe. Really great mass market deck, a little bit of a hidden gem in my opinion, and one that I'm gonna continue to use for the rest of the year. My other main deck for divination, fortune telling, week ahead, months ahead kind of readings, looking at the energies, kind of like, you know, a weather report, but for vibes. I love to use oracle decks for that. And the main one, apart from l'Oracle de Tulipe, I've been pulling is this. This is called the Antiquities of Magic Oracle. This is by Gillian C. Wilde, and as you can see, it's slightly smaller, a little bit more of a pocket size, like playing card size. We have 54 cards in this one, and this is really delightful. Really enjoyed this one, and again, one I don't see enough of in my humble opinion. So we have a great guidebook for each of the cards. We have a ton of information. We've got some keywords. We always have references to tarot cards, which I really appreciate because tarot is my love language. So if you link your oracle back to tarot, I'm gonna be here for that. We have a history of symbolism, and then we have an oracle message, and that's the case for every single card. Really great guidebook. I've enjoyed immensely using it and pulling from it. Here are the backs, absolutely stunning. We have matte edges, and this is one of those decks again that's got one image, one keyword of what's on the card, but this time we also have a keyword to help you read this in a more guidance way. So it doesn't just tell you horse, for example, it says horse and action. So whilst l'Oracle de Tulipe, you kind of had to make your own association if you didn't want to read the guidebook, this one you do have a little keyword below here to help you make sense of this. This is wonderful, and again, one I don't see nearly enough of. First, the artwork is absolutely stunning. It goes with so many decks, even with just your traditional RWS. It's beautiful. It goes well with more historical decks. It goes well with classic decks. It goes well with even modern decks because it focuses on symbolism, objects, animals. It really is a versatile deck, and because most of the objects and symbols depicted don't fit a specific time period too much necessarily, you could really use it with both modern decks and historical decks, like I was saying, right? Because if you think about the heart, moon, horse, it's not limiting you to modern day life, and it's not limiting you to the past either. So really great, versatile, universal symbols here. I think the art style is beautiful, and I just really appreciate the keywords here, the guidebook, and also how useful and versatile this is. This is actually one I'm considering taking on my trip, as it's quite, as you can see, easy to carry around. And I personally have been using it consistently for pulling, for myself, for week ahead readings. I've been pulling this one. I pull like three cards just to ask the energies of the week ahead, what I need to be mindful of, or things like that. And then I might pull another few tarot cards in order to ask more specific questions. But to get the energies of the week, I have found this is really great. I have used it on my channel as well, on the readings channel, to do monthly guidance for you guys. You guys really enjoyed it, which I'm happy about, as this is really one that I think a lot of people can resonate with. Again, you know, the art style, it's not threatening, it's beautiful, it's easy to use, it's intuitive. I love these kinds of oracle decks. If you guys watch my channel like before, you know I love decks that can be used for divination, fortune telling, for guidance, for pulling at the energies. When you have like an object and a keyword, that's my vibe. I love that stuff. These kind of decks where it's like an object or an animal or something, one keyword, and off you go. It's really something I find myself pulling most months, most weeks, and this one has been a huge favorite. I love this one, the Sphinx with Ancient Wisdom. Definitely a deck I don't see enough of, in my humble opinion. I think this is great. If you guys like to work with Lenormand as well, there's quite a few cards that are reminiscent of the Lenormand, even though this is not a Lenormand, obviously. But if you like to work with the Lenormand system, I think you'd feel very comfortable using this deck, because it kind of gives that feel, right, of the Lenormand without it being tied to that structure. And yeah, I just wanted to shout it out, as I really have been enjoying it so much. Let me know if you guys have this one, if you like it, the kind of reading you like to do with it, if you've paired it with anything. Like I said, for me, it goes beautifully with so many things, but with the traditional RWS, it's truly a joy. They go so great together, they're beautiful together. And inside it says, all the answers we seek are mirrored in the divine. Beautiful. The last deck I want to mention in my divination / fortune telling category is this wonderful creation by Marinelli, or Boho Mystic, here on YouTube. I'll make sure to leave the link to her YouTube channel down below. She very kindly sent me this deck for review, and you guys know I'm always very honest with you about decks that get sent, and this I've been absolutely loving. So this is called Charm Scripted Paper Charms. It's inspired by charm casting, and the reason behind the creation of this deck is that Marinelli loves to do charm casting, but she realized that it was not the most practical kind of thing to take around, right? If you guys are familiar with charm casting, it's quite heavy, you have to carry your charm set around, it's not the most practical. So she was thinking about how to make charm casting more accessible, more practical, and so she decided to create this deck that is 100 cards inspired by 100 charms, as a way to be able to cast charms through these paper charms, which I think is so smart and just a wonderful creation for us fellow readers. So this you can get on her Etsy shop. I'll make sure to leave the link down below. There's 100 cards, which is great. You guys know I love a chunky deck. It's on linen cardstock, so it's super easy to shuffle. We have a little bit of a note to readers where Marinelli explained her intention behind the deck, and this is really created by a tarot reader for tarot readers or for fellow diviners, and I just appreciate that so much. And she really thought of use and practicality when she created this. So I always like when fellow tarot readers, diviners, etc. create decks, because they're so used to pulling cards and getting messages and stuff like that, that they usually are able to create decks that feel very practical, very versatile, and very useful to add to our tarot practice, to add to our cartomancy practice. This is no exception. So on each of the card, you can see we have an image. So here is a fairy, and then we have some keywords or key phrases that Marinelli has associated with all of her charms. You don't have to use those keywords, obviously. You might have your own associations with that particular symbol, and personally I do have my own association, but I really appreciate that she's given us so many keywords and key phrases to choose from, as I have found that a lot of these phrases or keywords have expanded my view of my reading, maybe given me new ways to look at things. So I really appreciate that. It's helped me to push myself outside my comfort zone, which I'm always looking to do as a reader. And I always appreciate being able to open my mind to new perspectives. So for example, for the clouds, we have foreboding, clouded thinking, past not clear, pause and reflect, emotional baggage, and disorientation. Really great. Like I said, we've got 100 cards, so tons of concepts and really tons of really well balanced in terms of energy, reference to different symbolism and different energies, which I really appreciate. And this has been an absolute joy to use. I've actually used it in my March months ahead reading on the Waves of Your Soul readings, which in case you haven't seen it, I'll again leave it in the cards. I used this one for each of the pile, and it was so great to kind of use my charms board, but use paper charms instead. It worked just as well as charms, actually. It really was fantastic to use, and I've been using this one for my own personal practice as well consistently since Marinelli sent it to me. So I wanted to shout it out because it's really wonderful. I think a lot of readers out there would enjoy this, having an alternative to charm casting, so that you can still get the feeling of your charm set, but without having to literally take the whole thing out. If you're traveling, for example, this is great. She also created this with people who have sensory kind of sensitivity in mind, people who don't really like sounds or touch certain metals and things. And I think that's great to make charm casting more accessible. Is really wonderful and thoughtful, so I appreciate that so much. This is another one that's absolutely on my list of deck I'm considering taking, as it's, like I said, so useful, practical, easy to take around. If you don't want the 100 cards, you can choose your favorites. This is so versatile, you can really make this your own. And I think I remember Marinelli mentioning she might do expansion packs at some point, which if she does, I think that's so cool, as we all love expansion packs. So that would be a great idea, I think. And so that is a charms scripted paper charms. I'm always struggling with that as a French person, not the easiest title. Here are the backs. And again, if you're watching Marinelli, thank you so much for sending this my way, because I've really been loving it so much. Let's move on to a deck I've been using for more magical workings, manifestation, rituals, things like that, meditation, and that is the Science Sigils Oracle by Luciana Peña. This is distributed and produced by Artisan Tarot. Again, this was originally a deck that was sent to me for review, and I ended up really falling in love with it. So I've got a whole dedicated video where I explain to you how this deck works. I'll make sure to leave it in the cards if you haven't seen it. I won't go into too much detail here as I've done a dedicated video, but I did want it to come back a few months later and tell you this is really been fantastic, and I've been using it non-stop. So first up, the box, really beautiful. Artisan Tarot always puts a lot of attention to detail in the production. This is no exception. We have beautiful linen cardstock again with these little witchy backs, which are great. We have a guidebook, and the way that this works is that we have 21 sigils linked to the 21 major arcana in tarot. So for those of you who are familiar with tarot, I think you might really enjoy this. In the guidebook, you can see the image of the original tarot deck, and then how Luciana has created a sigil to match. There's actually an accompanying tarot deck that you can get with this, which is called the Science Tarot. Again, I've done a whole dedicated video on both, so you'll be able to check that out in the cards. But and whilst I love the tarot deck, I've been using even more so the sigils, as I've kind of been pulling a kind of sigil every new moon so far, and every full moon, kind of to work with the lunar cycle. I'll pull a sigil and I'll leave it on my altar, and usually I'll meditate with it. Sometimes I'll redraw it, leave it on my bedside table, and just work with that energy for the duration of that moon phase. The guidebook is great because it tells you what this sigil means. So for example, here the moon card right? And here it's been renamed Perception. It says this sigil depicts a full moon, denoting completion and fulfillment. The circles represent the three witches of the coven, avatars of unity and shared magical intent. The connecting lines from the moon to each circle illustrate the spiritual link between the moon's energy and the coven's earthly power. Perception represents the source of all mysticism. By opening channels to deep unconventional wisdom, you will have the strength, protection, and sapience of all esoteric discoveries, past, present, and future. This sigil is best used with divination, protection, and enlightenment practices, and is also effective at enhancing your intuition in spell work. So here it says enhance intuition and unlock esoteric wisdom, and you have some keywords. So I've been putting a sigil, like I said, every new moon and every full moon, and I've been working with that energy, sometimes creating a little ritual around that, or maybe meditating with that sigil. I've also been redrawing them and carrying them with me if I want to call in that energy. I also have been using this in my readings for you guys on my other channel. For example, each month a sigil for you guys to work with. So this has been really wonderful because there's a few sigil decks out there, but the fact that this one is tied to major arcana, it's easier to use for me. Again, this is, very biased personal opinion, but because I'm such a tarot person at heart, because tarot is like my first language when it comes to divination, something that is tied to each major arcana I can really relate with, and it's easier for me to tie into any kind of like manifestation, meditation, or kind of spiritual practice I might be doing. A little bit about Luciana. It says she is Argentinian illustrator, and the matching tarot deck is wonderful. If you guys like witchy decks, if you guys like things a little bit more occult, esoteric, something that is a little bit reminiscent of Pixie's art style, but a lot more witchy, I think you would really enjoy the Cyan Tarot as well. For shadow work, and reading is related to maybe going a little bit deeper and having a look at what's going on in my subconscious. My main deck recently has been this one, Embracing the Shadow Oracle deck. This actually was a gift from my cousin for Christmas, so I'm not 100% sure where she got this, but I'm gonna guess Amazon. You could get this one, as it feels like an Amazon deck, right? There's no title on it, but it feels like one of those decks you can get on Amazon. It says that there's 42 cards, and it's meant to help you with deep introspection, and this to serve as a mirror to your subconscious, unlocking profound insights and empowering your personal journey. And you know what? I agree. This has actually been really surprisingly good. Again, I'd never really seen this deck until she gifted it to me. I'd never heard of it or anything like that. Never seen it, so it was a complete surprise. There's no guidebook that comes with it because you're gonna see there's text on the cards, so you don't really need any guidebook. But this has been surprisingly great and accurate and very truthful when it comes to dealing with anything to do with like shadow, with like our shadows, the subconscious, any type of wound we might be carrying, any type of fear, any type of pattern we might need to release. This slaps, you guys. The art style, I'm gonna guess it's probably made with AI. It feels like an AI deck to me. Again, I don't know. This was a gift, so I've got no idea, but I'm gonna guess it feels like AI. That being said, it's not bad because at least it's all in the same color palette. It feels very consistent in terms of the colors, the style, etc. And the main great thing about this is what's written on the card. So here, self-sabotage awareness. Where are you unconsciously blocking your own growth? Identify the patterns. Like, this is great. I've been so impressed at how accurate this is every time I've used it. Here we have the mask of happiness. Are you hiding sadness behind forced smile? Authenticity heals deeper than avoidance. Ooh, right? It's good. Like, it goes there. It actually gives you new perspective and kind of keywords and key phrases we're not used to seeing, I think, in Oracle decks. Here we have unexpressed grief, suppressed sorrow, manifest in unexpected ways, allow yourself to mourn fully. How beautiful is that? Honestly, they're all great. Reclaiming your body. If past wounds have disconnected you from your body, it's time to come home from yourself. This just has been really helpful, sometimes given me kick up the butt, right, which I've needed, but it's not, I don't think, too triggering in the way that it approaches things. It does approach hard themes like grief and shame and things like that, but it does so in a way that feels quite gentle, which I appreciate. So here we have, for example, we had spiritual bypassing. I love that we have that card in here because that's not something we see in a lot of oracle decks, but it's so rampant right now. Avoiding pain with positivity delays growth. Embrace the full spectrum of your emotion. That's great. Like, honestly, this is wonderful. I've used it for myself. I've used it for friends. I've used it in readings, on the Waves of Your Soul readings. And it is, it slaps, you guys. It's really good in terms of getting to the core of maybe what's blocking you or what you are not wanting to look at or what's playing in your subconscious that needs a little bit of a hug and an embrace. It's really wonderful. Is it my favorite art style? Not necessarily, but it's not bad. I mean, a lot of the cards are cute. And I like the fact that it's consistent across, at least in terms of art style and color wise, even though the fact that it's AI, definitely not my favorite, but the text is fantastic and it's been a really great useful deck for me to work with. Dark Night of the Soul. You are undergoing deep transformation. Trust that this darkness is leading to light. So it's a great surprise and something that's really been useful for my readings and my practice for reading for myself and reading for others. That's the Embracing the Shadow Oracle deck. Again, I'm not sure where you can get it. I'm gonna take a guess and say Amazon or Etsy. The last deck I've been loving lately, and then we'll move on to decks I'm thinking of taking on my trip, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the trip, is kind of a random choice and one I've never shared on my channel before. I realized I've never shared it in a haul or anything. I must have forgotten to include it in the haul when I got it at the time, and yet it definitely deserves a shout out, and that's the Place Oracle. This is a deck I had found, I think, last year on Amazon at the time, but I'm pretty sure it's still available for purchase. It is a deck that is 78 cards, and as the name suggests, each 78 cards is dedicated to different places. And you guys have rediscovered this in my collection recently, and I was reminded how great this is. I wanted to share it out because, again, I've never shared it on my channel before. It must have been when I was really struggling with chronic pain, so I forgot it to include it in a haul. So here are the backs, very appropriate for the Place Oracle. There's no guidebook because you're gonna see it's all on the cards. So for example, here we have library, and it says book collection, reading nooks, and research resources. So literally every single card is a place, and there's tons of them, 78, right? Like a tarot deck. Some of them are more metaphorical, like the birthplace of dreams here with pursuit of goals and belief in possibilities, and some of them are a lot more grounded, like the airport. And this is really unique in my tarot and oracle deck collection. I don't have anything else that focuses on places like this, and I've really reconnected with it this year because this is a lot more versatile than you might think. Obviously, you can use this to ask any questions around places. So for example, one of my friends, she loves to do true crime readings. She ended up getting this deck after I shared it with her because it helps her during her true crime readings to be like, okay, potentially where would they found the body, things like that. I know it's grim, but there are some people who love to do those readings, and that is completely fair. So that's one way you could use it. Another way I have used it personally for myself is like what place I'm invited to spend time in, like where are my guides telling me I should be going. You could use this to ask where you're gonna meet your next romantic partner. You could ask where you are gonna be invited to go on your next holiday, right? Very location-based questions. Obviously, this is great. But you could also use this as a way to think about your internal landscape, which I've loved using it for myself this way, thinking about if my soul was an internal landscape, how is it looking right now? What's the state of my internal landscape? Is it a desert? Is it a concert hall? Is it an art exhibition? And depending on what card I get, it's gonna reveal the main things that are at the forefront of my subconscious that I need to pay attention to. If when I'm doing my inner landscape reading, I pull the cemetery card, straight away I think, okay, my subconscious is really focused on grieving or on metaphorical death right now. What do I need to put to rest? Is there anything that I need to let go of? If I get the supermarket, then I could think about potentially what I'm nourishing myself with, what I'm spending on. There's just so many different ways you can use this deck, and whilst it might seem quite practical at first because you're really looking at places, it's a lot more versatile than meets the eyes. So I've actually really been enjoying this one, reconnected with it this year and discovered that I really love pulling a card. So I don't know if you guys had seen this one. I don't think it's very well known. It's one of those random finds I had seen on Amazon, and I wanted to shout it out if I have readers here who like to think about location, places, things like that. I love that one. Lighthouse, guiding light, symbol of hope, watchful sentinel. It's beautiful. So that is the Place Oracle. Let's move on to the part of the video where I want to chat with you guys about the decks I'm thinking of taking on my trip. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm supposed to be going in mid-March to India to an Ayurvedic hospital to hopefully help me with chronic pain symptoms, chronic illness. If you guys have been with me the last few years, you know I live with invisible disability. I struggle with chronic illness, chronic pain, and last year especially was particularly hard as on top of my pre-existing illnesses and symptoms, I caught the chikungunya, which is a mosquito-borne illness, which is really painful and has left me with some extremely difficult side effects that I'm dealing with on the daily, chronic pain, inflammation, etc., etc. I've been looking for ways to help me with this, and so this is where this trip to India kind of came to be, as I found this Ayurvedic hospital in India. It's called Raja Island, for those of you who are curious. I'll make sure to leave the link in the description box. It's a certified Ayurvedic hospital where I'm going to be staying for 2 weeks. I will be receiving Ayurvedic treatment, Ayurvedic food, Ayurvedic medicine to hopefully help with my ongoing symptoms, chronic pain, chronic illness issues. So I'm not actually going to be seeing India at all, sadly. You know, this is not really a holiday. I'm going to the airport, I'm being picked up at the airport, going to the hospital kind of retreat place, staying there for 2 weeks and then being brought back to the airport. So sadly, I won't see much of India, but this is not what the trip is about. This trip is really more of a kind of medical/retreat day to hopefully help me get physically better, as I've really been struggling with chronic pain a lot in recent months and recent years. I'm actually not doing this trip on my own. My mother is coming with me, which I'm so happy about because she's been going through her own health struggles last year. Last year was not a good year for the family, guys. I was going through a lot physically in terms of illness. My mom had to go through her own health issues, which I won't divulge here, but been pretty tough. So she's actually going to come with me, and we'll also be getting Ayurvedic treatments and medicine as well. And so we're going to be taking this trip together, and I'm really, really excited. I'm crossing my fingers that this is going to be a really rewarding experience, not just for my body, but also I think in terms of like discovering new ways to approach the body, as if you guys don't know, Ayurvedic medicine is something very specific to India. It's very ancient ways to heal. They use plants, massages. It's a very natural way to heal the body. They don't look at the body just as a physical body, right? Part of this it's a whole like holistic kind of approach, but this is a certified Ayurvedic hospital with certified doctors. So I'm really, really excited to learn more and just open my mind to new ways to think about health in general, right? And if you guys want to follow along for the journey, I won't be able to post on YouTube, obviously, because for the last 2 weeks of March, because I won't be here, but I'll be sharing on my Instagram stories, which is usually where I share my day-to-day life. So if you want to follow along for that, if you're curious about these kinds of treatments and Ayurvedic stay for yourself, maybe, definitely follow along on my Instagram. I'll share on my stories. So because I'm going away for 2 weeks, and because literally I won't be going anywhere but the States today I'll have time in between the massages and the treatments and seeing the doctors to pull cards, as it's going to be a very chill kind of retreat, right? I'll have definitely free time in the day to pull cards and to do some reading. So if I have time, I'll share a video where I'm going to share with you the books I'm thinking of taking, but I wanted to quickly mention the decks I'm thinking of taking with me. So first, I'll be taking either one of those two I mentioned, either this one or this one, for more like divination type reading, and they're quite portable, so they're going to be very easy to use. The next deck I'm thinking of taking is this one, and that's mostly because that's one of my mom's favorite oracle decks, and because she's coming with me, I thought it would be quite nice to bring it for her. So that's the Spirit Animal Oracle. It's a mass market deck by Colette Baron Reid. It's an animal deck. It's been out for years. I've had it since 2019, I think, so my copy is beat up. Like, look at my, it's disgusting, you guys, don't judge me. It's so gross. Everything is gross because I've had it for so long. I've taken it with me everywhere, and my mom loves this one, so I was thinking of potentially taking it. The guidebook is great. On each of the card you have an animal with a key phrase, and because I love working with animal energy and because she also does, I was thinking this would be such a nice thing. Maybe we pull a card a day, we get our animal for the day, read the message in the guidebook, and yeah, I just was thinking this would be a really nice little ritual that we could share together. Plus, I love this deck, you guys. You know, not all of Colin Barrett Reed's decks have spoken to me over the years. I've actually gotten rid of, I think, all of them apart from this one. No, I still have the Good Tarot that I quite enjoy, but a lot of her more recent decks I don't like. This one though, her animal one, is fantastic. The guidebook is great. You get upward, reverse, you get meaning for career, for guidance, for love. There's a ton of animals here. The art style is beautiful. This is fantastic. The cardstock is great. Like, I've used this a ton since 2019. I've had to edge my copy because it was getting beat up. This is probably one of the most used oracle decks in my collection. You've seen the state of the guidebook, like it's falling apart. And the cards are doing really well. So in terms of quality and durability, it's fantastic. I'm gonna have space in my suitcase anyway, so I'm not too bothered about like suitcase space, as I'm not really going to be taking much. I don't need much for this Ayurvedic kind of retreat place. I've got space to bring slightly larger decks, and this one is definitely one I'm going to be taking because I love it. It's so cute. Let me know if you guys have this one. It's an oldie but a goodie, right? So let me know if you have it, if you like it. Let's chat in the comments. I love to hear your guys' thoughts. So the last deck I'm considering taking with me on this trip, and in terms of oracle decks, and this is one I've not shared with you yet on my channel, as it arrived just after I filmed my most recent haul, so I'll have to include it in the next one. It's actually the Magic Flowers, and it's 60 cards plant ally talisman poetry deck. This is a plant deck, as the name suggests. On the front you have an image of the plant, and on the back you have a poem. I got this one from Artisan Tarot, and as you can see, it's more playing card size. On one side you have the poems, and on one side you have an image of the plant. Now, because Ayurveda is so focused on plants, I've been thinking that this would be great to take with me. Though Ayurvedic treatments are very specific to Indian medicine and Indian plants, I'm pretty sure a lot of the plants they're going to be using on me in medicine or in treatments or in massages, etc., probably won't be in this oracle deck because they might be a little bit more specific to India. But I do really love working with plant energy, and I like the idea of having a deck with poems at the back, and these ones are particularly beautiful. Let's pull one so you can get a little bit of a taste. What do we need to know? We have the hibiscus. I love it. One of my favorite flowers that we have here in Reunion. It says, "Flow towards your pleasure," she says, "as she drips luscious nectar down from the heavens into golden vessels of light. You are sacred. Embody your dreams and arrive in your power." How gorgeous is that? I love poetry, you guys. I'm having a real moment with poetry as well this year. I'm reconnecting with a lot of poets and books. Used to love reading, and I'm doing a lot of bibliomancy with poetry, and I want to actually include more poetry in my readings over on the Waves of Your Soul readings, as again a way to do a little bit of bibliomancy and a little bit of guidance. So when I saw this on Artisan Tarot, I thought it was perfect because I love working with plants. I love poetry. I mean, this is just a combination of two things I adore. Let's see for a yarrow what it says. Mother warrior, mama bear, see yourself through the eyes of the mother and be healed, protected, and wrapped in the deepest self-love you've ever felt. A love unshakable from the depths of the ocean floor to the cosmic sea swimming in stars. You are home, always. Oh, you guys, this is so good. I've had this deck on a couple of days, so I haven't had time to read all the poems, but going through it with you guys right now, I'm so happy I bought this. This is wonderful. I can feel it's going to be one of my most used this year. I already can tell I'm going to be using this consistently. This is exactly what I need right now. Something healing, something related to earth medicine. It's poetic, it's beautiful. Yeah, I adore it. Let's do one more. Peace Lily. I love those. Let's see what it says. Surrender to the soft white bells. Trust their gentle melody. Find your voice, humming in the earth. Notes sung tenderly from a lion-hearted love. How gorgeous, you guys. This is beautiful. It's 60 cards, by the way, if I didn't mention. I think there's a separate workbook, which I didn't get at the time because it was getting super expensive with shipping. But if I continue enjoying working with this, I might be tempted to pick up the book because this is really wonderful. Let me know, actually, if any of you has the book. Is it worth investing? For me, it was making the shipping quite expensive, so it would be something I have to, save towards. But I'd really love to have your guys' opinion. If you do have this one, please let me know if the book is worth it, as the cards already are really wonderful. So that's the last deck I wanted to share with you guys, give you a little bit of a life update as well. A little bit absent for like the second half of March. I'm gonna try and film some videos ahead. I'll see how I'm doing physically. I hope you're all taking good care of yourself. Please let me know in the comments the oracles you guys are using right now, the oracle decks you've been loving. I love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm sending you so much good vibes and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!